Welcome to Brain Wealth with Brian Reppel from Reppel Wealth Group. Join us on a transformative journey where we explore the powerful connection between mindset, financial success, and cutting-edge biohacking. Gain actionable insights from Brian and his guest experts in psychology, finance, and personal development as they examine the world of biohacking to supercharge your mental and physical well-being. Whether you're an entrepreneur, financial enthusiast, or simply eager to enhance your health and mindset, let this podcast be your guide to holistic abundance. Now, let's get ready to unlock your brain wealth.
Hello and welcome to the Brain Wealth Podcast with your host, Brian Reppel. Brian, it's great to be with you again. I understand you have a guest today.
I do. We have Courtney Epps coming on the show.
Nice. Tell us about her.
Well, let me just introduce Courtney in my way of doing it is how I got to meet her. And there's people that come in your life that are they're there for a reason. And Courtney was one of them. And we were both in the Tony Robbins space, traveling the country, attending all these events. And we both upgraded, took a leap of faith to make a major capital purchase to go into Platinum Partners. And if you know anything about Courtney, she's one of these women that's running around the room, introducing herself, and she will be your friend within 3 minutes. And you just see this woman running around. You're like, I want to know who this person is. And I got my chance at lunch one day. And Courtney, I don't know if you remember this, but we were down in West Palm and we were having lunch, sitting at a restaurant. You're like, hey, what is it you do? And I said, well, what is it you do? And we both had the same message, but just worded a little differently.
Yeah.
And it was about, we help people find money that they're transferring to governments, institutions, and help them keep more of their money. And if we can do that, people can now have more money for their future. And I said, well, what are you? And she's like, I'm a tax strategist. And I'm like, huh? That's interesting. Most people say they're tax preparers, they're enrolled agents or CPAs. I was like, tell me more. And she's like, well, read my book. And I'm like, okay. And her book, which is the very first one, which is, you're going to love the title of this. It is More Relaxing, Less Taxing. You must be brain dead not to own a business. So Courtney, I got that book and I was like, she is onto something here. And I will tell more about you in a minute as we kind of go about your story. But let's open up with the book because you had such a big impact running around with the Tony Robbins world, passing this book out. And it just took your career and your business took off from there. Share with me about why are you so different? Because it's tax season, it's first quarter, and you have such an impact on people's lives, business owners particularly. But where did you get this vision, and how did you come about the book and what you're doing right now in the tax world in your business?
Well, the funny thing is that I didn't want to take a week of my life out to go become an EA. And so I'm like, well, next best thing is I can just write a book. And so I'd become an expert immediately. And I did. I actually wrote that book about 3 weeks after Business Mastery with Tony Robbins. And I needed to create extra income, but I was telling all of these people, this information. And I'm like, it would be just so much easier to put it in a book, give it to them in a easy, 5-hour read. They can understand it. It's not written per se, but it was written by me, but then I had somebody rewrite it so that it would actually make sense to the everyday person and it wouldn't be coming from an accountant. But the biggest thing, writing that book and why you'd be brain dead not to own a business is people have to understand that taxes are their number one expense. And if they don't do something about decreasing their taxes, there is no money left over. We think about it. We've got house payments, we've got car payments, we've got credit card payments. We don't even think about the fact that all of this money, almost 40% of every dollar that someone makes is going to pay taxes. And I saw from me being a business owner what I could do and how much money I could save in taxes. And then I started doing tax strategy sessions and just teaching people the exact same thing that I was doing. Instead of just being an accountant, doing taxes for people based upon what information they give me, I could actually tell them, hey, you need to do these things. And that's why we're different, because nobody does that and I don't know why. I mean, I do know why to a
Well,
certain
let me stop right there, because I want the listeners to understand that, because that's so uniquely different of what you do. And that's such a distinguishing part about you, because it's like saying, oh, I'm an enrolled agent or I'm a CPA. Many of those individuals are tax preparers.
Right.
And what makes you so unique in our relationship, we love tax strategies, tax planning.
Yes.
And that's such a distinguishing factor. And I actually want to back up too, because I want listeners to hear what Courtney did. I mean, I didn't know that part of the story. And it was like, instead of going to take a week out of, not just a week to take an enrolled agent's exam, that's a massive commitment to take that exam.
Yep.
It's a big commitment. So instead, she decided to write a book and bring all the strategies of what just a regular enrolled agent or a CPA would talk about, or probably not talk about, write a book on it and begin impacting people's lives immediately, adding so much value. I mean, that's such a cool, I didn't know that story. So,
and the funny thing is, it did only take me a week to take and pass the entire EA exam. So right. I actually could have freed up some more of my time and not written the book, but it just seemed like it was such a huge task. And I didn't need to be an EA. A lot of people think, well, you need an EA or a CPA behind your name, and they don't realize, like, there is no difference. I can do everything that I could in the past, do everything that an EA or a CPA could do, other than audits and auditing major companies. When I say an audit, not like an audit for the IRS, but auditing a publicly traded company. And I was never going to do anything like that. So I ended up, going to get the EA because they changed the tax law. And the tax law said that if I amended a tax return and I wasn't an EA, I couldn't audit that client. I couldn't be involved. And so I went and took it, because I had 2 clients that had prior tax returns that needed someone to handle the audit. And so I just decided, well, I guess I'm going to have to go be an EA today. So,
well, I want people, because one of the things about this podcast, Brain Wealth, is really, I want to have an impact, and I know you do too, on our generation.
Yes.
Because it is the next generation, our generation X, I'm going to call it the individuals 38 to maybe 60 years old. We have to teach them strategies around money, around health, around mindsets, around spirituality, and bringing those things together so they can live a life of abundance, the life they want to live in the future. And if they don't get the taxes right, that means you can go out and create more money, but if you don't learn to keep it and you're just giving it away,
right,
the government will love to have your money.
Yes.
But it's also a choice because a lot of people get paralyzed by, oh my gosh, I'm not good at this. I don't understand this. Well, it's okay. There's people out there like Courtney that do understand it and can strategize for it and say, listen, let's look at this and find strategies that can help you keep more of your money so you have it for your future.
Correct. And there's so many things that you do, which is why I love working alongside you, Brian. There's so many things that I can tell people to do, but telling them to do something and them actually doing that, finding somebody who can handle it, is hard. So when you can take strategy and then you can also invest in certain things that are going to give you a massive tax deduction and give you a return on investment, like, that's a win-win. Instead of me just telling people to spend money on their business and, sinking money into their business, buy a new plane, buy a new car, buy a new blah, blah, blah. I mean, unless it's going to make you more money in your company, I don't see a point in you spending that money to save money in taxes. But there's investments that you can put into in vehicles that you can put money into that not only are tax deductible, but also give you a return on investment, which makes so much more sense to me. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And I don't want to keep the whole conversation on tax, because when I said about the thing about brain wealth, you are the epitome of it. You have knowledge in all areas of money, health, because you've battled health, personal challenges. And one of the unique things, which I love about you, is you didn't come from some background of everything was perfect. and you stumbled upon this. And I just want everyone to know, Courtney speaks on stages for some of the largest companies in the world, speaks alongside some of the biggest names like Les Brown, and just has such a massive impact and has scaled her business. And she really epitomizes the four and represents the four kind of pillars I talk about of the wealth, understanding money, health, wanting to have an impact on herself and her family and the people she serves, the spirituality part, and the mindset. You kind of represent all four areas of that. So let's, because it's easy to stay on tax. And I know people love that conversation about different ways we can save it. But I think there's so much more depth to you, which is fun. So I'm gonna tell a short little story. I heard this the other day, and because I think this is going to get into, I kind of want to hear about the impact you're making on the world. And I know you have some global initiatives, and I want to, before I have you talk on that, I'm just going to share this story. It's out of a book called Messy Spirituality. Not sure if you've heard of it, but there's a kind of an interesting name, Messy Spirituality. But it says just this one little section says, Jesus of Nazareth. This is the one they say can heal blindness. All my life I've wanted to see, and my chances now. He gets to his feet and yells, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. Instantly the crowd shouts at the blind man, shut up, be quiet. Everyone around the man tries to silence him, to keep him from creating a scene, to keep him from annoying Jesus. It's the nature of human beings, the nature of modern life, to silence those who interrupt our routine, activities, and understandings. Wait till you hear this part. I'm here. This is about who Courtney is in the world. We don't like those who speak up, who leave the status quo. We like those that stay the status quo, don't leave the status quo, who refuse to be quiet, who reject compliance as a way of life. We would much rather have people be quiet and not say disturbing things of genuine passion, integrity to human beings.
Yeah.
That's who Courtney Epps is in the world. She is a leader. She speaks up. She breaks the status quo. The fact that she wrote a book and said, hey, you know what? I'm not this, but I'm going to educate and disrupt an entire market space is a woman of massive influence. So Courtney, the fact that you've been invited to all these, what did you hear when I just read that? Because I know you saw yourself in there.
Well, I mean, I have never been one of those people that cared what anybody had to say about me. You know, I've been really focused on what is truth. And if it's the truth, it's going to come out of my mouth, regardless if you like it or not. And so sometimes that gets me into a place where, you know, in certain circles where people are not so happy with me, but you either love me or you hate me. And that has been the way it's been my whole entire life. You either love the fact that I'm going to tell you the truth, regardless if you like it or not, or you're going to hate the fact that I'm going to tell the truth, regardless if you like it or not.
And that's what I love about you. And I think one of the questions I really had preparing for this, I never really asked you this, is where did you get because with that, which can be polarizing for some people, but I love your spirit because it flows right through you. And even getting banned if you get kicked off Facebook for a few days or weeks or TikTok, or how long?
It's kicked off of Facebook for 10 months.
Yeah. So, and even with people writing comments and things, it sticks to me. And I know a lot of people, it's kind of like, oh, I don't like that. And yeah. I love talking with you because you have this energy and a spirit about you where it flows through you. How did you get that? What is the nature makeup of that? And has that always been you?
Yeah, it's always been me. But God gave me that. I mean, because he just said, I mean, you're going to speak the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And you're going to say what I tell you to say when I tell you to say it. And that's pretty much what he told me to do. And so if he says it, it's coming out of my mouth. If I think it, it's coming out. And that, and that's not always the best, for some people. But for me, I think my family spent so much of their life lying about things and looking like they were really good and looking like they had it all together. And I saw that and I saw the misery that was there. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to just always tell the truth. Like, you don't have to like it, And especially in the tax world, I'm very cut and dry. It's like, this is where you're losing money. This is what you need to do. This is how you're going to fix it. And I can fix it or you cannot fix it. The job is for me to tell you and then give you that information. So I do that in spirituality. I do that in business. I do that in my family life. I think it hurts worse in my family life because this is it. That's me.
It is. And that's what I love about it is you wear it and it's not fake. And I think that comes with a lot of integrity because it says you saw it from your family and you're like, wait, I'm going to break that here now. That's not going to be me. And I'm not transferring that to my generation, to my kids, and my legacy.
Right.
And I think there's so much truth in that. And so was there a moment in time that you said, hey, this ends here?
Yeah. About 3 years ago when I started seeing all this stuff, coming up with just the way the world is working. And I think I woke up as a person when the whole PPP loans came out, about 3 years ago. I started realizing like there's something going on. The government is literally wanting us to be so connected to them and so needy of them. And I started really realizing, I felt like I lived in a bubble prior to that. I felt like I was just a kind of a cog in the wheel. And then I decided, no, we need to tell the world about all of this stuff. Like they need the truth about everything. And I mean, I'm not perfect. There is, sure, there's stuff in my past, but it's my job to step up and be different and to change that for me and my family and hopefully for my clientele as well.
Well, I know you are, and I know the impact you've had on your clients. When I get to speak with them, and one of the things that makes Courtney's, I'm just going to back out of tax real quick, is one of the things when people come over and I get to meet your clients, I said, share something what's Courtney done different that you have not experienced before. And they say, she's gone back and looked at the last 3 years of tax returns and has redone the returns and has saved up thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how does that make you feel? And they're like, amazing. Like, why didn't we find her sooner? But I don't want to stay on taxes. I just want people to know how amazing you are in the space of tax because I know you pretty well. And we spent a lot of time together traveling and just at different events and even sharing the stage together at different places. One of the things that I've really been studying is about, I use this line of saying, successful people and unsuccessful people start at the same point. They both have an option. It's just like successful people show up and do the hard stuff. They have habits. They learn to look at old habits and say, that habit's not serving me. I'm going to replace it with a new habit. Are there some things that you do now? Because you've had such tremendous success. You have courage. You speak with such truth and integrity, but are there habits that maybe a habit you had to break to replace? And what are some new habits that you do regularly? Because you lead such a massive group, your team, your family, and we're going to talk about your global initiatives here in a second, but maybe some habits that you share that you do regularly.
Well, I'll tell you what's been so amazing. I guess this past tax year is the first time we've ever been ahead. And that has been super weird for me because I've actually, since October up until probably last week, I've been able to work about 20 hours a week.
During tax season?
Yeah, well, from October to now,
okay,
right, until about last week. So right after tax season ended, I literally cut my hours in half, and so I took on my daughter, who actually has an accounting degree. She just graduated last May, and Alexis has taken over the CFO role and taken a lot of my job. And so the habits that I had, I used to feel like I had to be busy, like I have to work 60 or 70 hours a week. I have to get in new clients. I have to grow this business. And I've just gotten to a place now, and maybe it's been because I've done this for 23 years. I feel like God is going to send me the people that I'm supposed to deal with. And he has, we probably get 3 to 5 new tax strategy sessions every day. But 3 years ago, when I was marketing and advertising and I was speaking on stages and doing all these things, it was so overwhelming because we get 25 to 30 new calls every single day. And it was to a place where we were growing so big, so fast that I could not, I was outselling my staff.
Yeah.
And now I've gotten to a place where it's like, I don't have to be bigger than a $3.5 million company. That's where we're at right now. I'm really happy with where we are. I'm really happy that we don't have to grow and we don't have to hire new people and we don't have to do all these things. And so, I guess I've moved into that, not necessarily the peak state, but I'm just really happy where we are. I'm very content. And I think God has put me to a place where I'm content. Like, we have an amazing staff. We have the clientele that we need. And then we're getting the more and more every single day of the clientele because we're getting them through referrals. So habits have changed. I have shifted. I don't think it's because I'm getting older. I just think I'm just happy with where we are.
Well, I know when you celebrated your first milestone at 1 million,
Yeah.
and that was a big breakthrough. And to hear now you've over 3, that's incredible. I know you've put a lot of energy, heart, and soul into building that. And just the fact that you even say numbers like that is just who Courtney is. She wears it out there. She just puts her stuff out there. She doesn't hide, and she speaks with that truth behind that. So Courtney, I want to pivot, just kind of talk about, because when we met, one of the things I loved was your heart. And it just really challenged me about the things that you see in the world and some of your initiatives. And I know you have 2 passions. One is helping people save taxes. I'd say 3, your family. Right. And then 2, your family. And then 3 is the impacting other people around the world. Do you want to just share about the 2 programs that you have? I just like hearing you say the last well.
Yeah, that's right. So Main Relief is probably my favorite because I was so sick for such a long time. I had chronic disease I was told that I would never get over for 22 years of my life, and had 4 different chronic illnesses that I was supposedly going to be on medication and sick all of my life and dealt with. And I don't have any medical issues now to this day. So the product that I got better from is a product that we actually give to children through Man Relief. And that Man Relief is just a nonprofit that provides advanced immune support to children in need all over the world in 90 different countries. So that has been my huge passion. And then the other is the Last Well. They actually provide water wells, and not whales as in
not whales in the sea,
in the ocean, but a well, like as in, collects water, right? Or holds water. Yeah, Brian loves the way I say well. And funny, my son's name is Wells.
Wells.
So it makes it really hard. It's one of those words I can't get out. But the Last Well, they provide water in Africa. They actually just recently changed their name to For Africa. They merged with another company so they could create more impact. But those are the 2 that really get me. And what we have decided to do is we created something called a social business. And you can do this this same way, is that you can actually provide from a gross income level. And by doing that, that actually becomes a cost of goods sold item, and it becomes a tax deduction for you. So it actually enables you to be able to give a whole lot more than just going through charitable aid contributions and maybe getting some deduction from that. 96% of Americans get no benefit from giving back. Unfortunately, they're just doing it out of the kindness of their heart. But if you make an intention to give from a gross income level from your business, then you can actually, it could be a percentage. It could be for every dollar you bring in, I'm going to do this. It could be for every product I sell, I'm going to do this. It could be for every service. You just have to pick a business model and stick with it. And by doing that, it becomes a tax deduction for you.
So Courtney, I know you speak with such integrity in your heart of serving these 2 ministries and charities there. How much have you raised? Because I know that one of your big missions was, as from your business, is to donate revenue from the clients you work with to these 2 charities. How much year to date have you been able to do?
I haven't tracked it recently, but 1 year we gave $256,000 just to one of the nonprofits. So I would probably say we're around the range of 400 given away. And that's the thing, like Man Relief has become my major soul initiative that I've started given to, only because there were some change shifts in the last well. But the last well, we finished out an entire project in an entire country. We provided water to the whole entire country of Liberia within a 10-year period of time. So that was truly amazing. And I was on the forefront of helping them. And then they kind of shifted over. So we just kind of pushed all of our funds over to Mana Relief.
I love it. And that's one of the things when I met you, your passion behind why you did business was to have impact on these cultures, get kids out of sickness into health. And then you also knew that they had to have water. And that's and it's so easy to live life with our heads down by the status quo. And I love that your heads up, you're looking out and being a leader in your space, in a lot of spaces. And speaking the truth, you've impacted a lot of people. You've impacted my life. And that's why I love our relationship, our friendship. I know that I think we're, like I said, the big thing about this podcast, why I started was because we need to have an impact on this next generation.
Right.
We have to have an impact, and we're in the same age group, and your message, I believe today, and I know we'll be doing this more because there's always we can always dig into such one part of a conversation, you and I, and just banter, dialogue on it and explore it. So, well, I want to appreciate, thank you for coming on today. Always treasure our relationship, and the impact that you're having and what you're doing in the world is always special. So by the way, let me share with this. Where would someone get your book? Amazon?
They can go to Amazon, or they can go to our website, otbtax.com, and you can buy the book, schedule a tax strategy session. You can do everything on the website.
All right, beautiful. So go to otbtax.com and schedule a session with Courtney and her team. And then if you don't do that, pick up the book. I've read it multiple times because it has it's an easy read, but it has great information there for business owners. And by the way, if you don't have a business yet, this is the woman and the team to talk to about starting one up. And she will tell you all the reasons why and how to restructure your business to save taxes. Courtney, thank you so much. Pleasure having you, and always fun talking to you. And I'll have you back on here.
Thank you.
All right, Bill, why don't we close it up here, buddy?
Yeah, I don't know. I got so caught up in listening to this conversation that you could have kept going. That would have been fine with me. Courtney, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Really, really appreciate it. Great story. And Brian said this already, but great heart as well. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Brian, before I get out of here and wrap this whole thing up, if people want to reach out to you and have a conversation with you about things, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So the easiest way is to go to Repple, REPPLE, just like Courtney Wells and Wales. It's not Ripple, it's Repple, REPPLE, wealthgroup.com. And I do encourage everybody to reach out to Courtney as well at otbtax.com for a free strategy session as well.
Excellent. And I have no problems with the way Courtney says Wells, because I'm related to a whole lot of folks that say Wells just like she does, as a matter of fact.
I've been understand that I'm saying it differently than anyone else. So
No, Courtney, you say it like everybody I know and grew up with. So
awesome.
For those of you who are listening, who enjoyed this podcast, thank you so much for listening. And I've got a question for you. Are you a subscriber? If you're not, that's the easy part. Hit subscribe. That's pretty simple. That way you will not miss another episode of this podcast. When it comes out, you'll be notified. One other small ask too. If you like this podcast, if you enjoy it, tell other people about it. Share the word. Get the word out about what Brian is doing and the conversations that he is having. On behalf of Brian and myself, Bill Tucker, I just want to thank you for listening to the show and remind you that you can go out today and make today a great day or not. It's your choice. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Brain Wealth with Brian Repple. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.repplewealthgroup.com. That's REPPLE wealthgroup.com. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Brian Repple. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Brian Reppel is a registered representative and investment advisor for G.A. Reppel & Company, member of FINRA SIPC.